So, hello everyone. Seems like we are ready to start.
Yes, we can.
I think so. Let me check the YouTube.
Yes.
So,
hello everyone and welcome to the second day of the essay lab workshop WEBITECTURE. Yesterday we were working in Blender, so I hope that you have some geometry to put in your app, and today we will investigate CSS and HTML, and for the next 3 hours we will create a website. So, can I share the screen? What is HTML? Someone can say it's a programming language, right? Which is a bit not true. Originally, HTML is hypertext markup language. And to make the story short, it's what you have on your website, like text, pictures, links, and so on. It's the elements of the website. And there are a lot of funny memes about it, so if you have some time, you can kill it with Google. CSS is cascading style sheets. It's how all information looks for visitors on your website. It's colors, background, fonts, buttons, types of buttons, and more graphic decoration. Also, it helps to make a clear structure of a web page, like blocks, columns, solutions, and so on. And for example, you can make your web page static or dynamic, like to change for any device that you have. And JavaScript is a programming language, and we needed to add some action on our website. That's why we use JavaScript to make our site interactive. And JavaScript is a powerful tool, and actually it used in robotics, in for mobile apps, for AR, for VR, game design, and many other fields. And according to this survey by Developer Economics, you can see that JavaScript is pretty popular. It's around 60% of users choose it, and it's commonly used all over the web and allows the creation of interactive websites. What we need to know about web design is that there are 2 layers, which is front end and back end. And if we take a look at Instagram, for example, we will see like images, text, account, buttons, some graphics, and so on. And this is actually it's kind of front end. And this is the first layer, and we can call it like this. And the backend is the deeper layer that stores data and provides the logic of your software. And the data is saved with servers. In the workshop, we will work as front-end designers, and glitch.com will be our server to deal with the backend. Another simple example is a restaurant where you have a meal, for example, and a meal, it's a front end, and a kitchen where they cook it, it's a back end. So originally HTML is a language. You can check it with every website because it's necessary to use it. Then we will jump in, I don't know, 1 minute on glitch.com. So that's why I put it over here. But what I wanted to show you, it's like here we have digital features, and you can check it plus Control plus U, or you can see all this code, and this is HTML, and you can check this code with every website, so it's pretty easy to understand the logic after all. And yes, I think we can go on the glitch, like here. Well, okay. You have to log in here. I'm already here, and maybe you need to register. I think it will take 1 second because it's easy with Google, for example, but I hope you already have your account, and your website your window should look like this, because I removed all my information. And what should I do? It's to say some words about Glitch. Glitch is a really great platform for storing your files and data online for free, with a built-in code editor and setups for different projects. It was developed by team from Google, and they have good support answering your emails pretty fast. So it's pretty cool platform, I guess. And what we see here and what we need here, it's website, and we should use minimal website. And here you see like 3 parts. The first one is like a navigation system, and here you can see HTML, JavaScript, and also CSS. And first of all, we will work with HTML. Then this window is for your code, and this window, it just represents how visitors see your website. I think first things first, I will change the name. It will be like, let's try. Okay, and I can just check it with these sunglasses. Open in a new window, and yes, it works. You can just check this URL okay, Stefan will help us and he will give you a link. And actually this website is already on air and easy peasy, you know, our web page works. Okay. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we can try maybe make it like larger so that it would be easier to see on the screen.
Okay, so HTML consists of different elements described with tags. There are many different tags. Well, these blue, I don't know, parts in angle brackets, it's actually tags. And some tags are used in pairs and some tags are single. For example, we have, I don't know, link is single, as you can see, or for example, P, it's in pairs, like paragraph. And what I recommend you to do is to use one website to explore all the tags. It's W3 Schools, w3schools.com, and here you can find a lot of information actually, but now all we need is HTML reference. You can click over here, and here you can find every tag, and if you press, you will see example and definition, usage, and so on. So it's super cool, I guess. Also, there is interesting website, developer.mozilla.org, and here nice blogs where you can find some answers and also interesting information. So will you? Yes. Will you add? Okay. So I will back over here, and actually every HTML will include two parts, head and body, and you will use different types of text within those parts. Head contains information mostly for your browser, like search engine keywords, other files connected to your HTML files or CSS or JavaScript files, and mostly it's some technical information that you don't see on your web page, but it's necessary for your web page to work properly. Within the body text, you are going to use describing some headings, text, paragraphs, images, links, buttons, and so on. So all this information which is visible for you and visible visitors on your web page. I think we can choose, and here on this window you can see that we have headings, we have text, and we have also a link. And I want to start from headings, I guess. Yes, from this part, and this is H1, and actually we have text from H1 to H6 for headings. It's all for headings, and we can type something instead of this, like this. And you can see that here everything has already changed. And what should I do next? I think I will choose this text. It's paragraph, and you can see the text over here. I think I will write something general. Maybe something like this. Okay, yes. By the way, can you see this part? Because for me, on the right, I can see only your Zoom accounts, and maybe I should just do like this. Yes. So yeah, here everything is fine, and we can check it like over here. Yes, pretty nice. And the next part is A. A is for link, and we have like two types, the way what should just the text and actually a link. And here I wanna type try me. Okay, and here I will add a link. I will just take it from our website to make it clear. Just copy, and I will put it like over here. Okay, and we can check it. So yes, it works. I hope it works on your computer too. What's next? Actually, we have this link here, and here we can put a link. And I want to pay your attention that some text can be a part of others. And now, as you can see, A, it's a part of B, like link, it's a part of this paragraph, like this. And if you want to put, for example, this link on the next line here, you should make some actions. And I guess you have just two options here. You can move the link somewhere, I don't know, here, 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 or here, or you can just close your paragraph later. Like we forgot to switch on this with arrow stuff. Okay, and I want to remove this point, and maybe I will put it over here. Yes, and let's check it. Yes. So now it's more clear, I guess.
Let's say basic line.
I'm sorry, what?
Unitized manner, so it's
I'm sorry, I didn't catch. Can you please repeat? Well, I think there was a question, but I didn't catch it. Could you please write it or maybe repeat? Okay, if it's, let's say everything is okay, but feel free to ask maybe soon or maybe now it's okay. So we have our headings, we have a new text, we have link, and what I wanted to try and to put an image, and I will back on this website. And here is a tag img, like this, and I will copy just this one and I will put it, let's say I want to put it here after WEBITECTURE. Yes, like over here. And we have this picture. Actually, we can use some open sources for our images, and in this case we can just put the link here. But if you want to add your own pics, so we need these assets. Let's go here, and okay, I'll have a picture and I will just drag it. And yes, loading, it's loading. And here is your pic, and you can just copy this URL, and then we will back to our HTML file. And here, where is source, right? We will put our new link like this. So here is our picture. Also, we can play with parameters of this picture. Like now, it looks this way, but we can just make it a little bit bigger, and this is it. So everything is working. Actually, link also works, and it's pretty nice. What can we add? We can add, I suggest to add a button, and to make the buttons, we also can jump into these websites. And here I just copy this text and put it, let's say I will put it after headings over here, and you hear it's over here. I mean, you can see it's over here, and you can check it once again. Yes, like this. And you can see when we added this button, something happens, right? And CSS will help to fix all these problems, and also to make these buttons more fancy, colorful, and fashion, I don't know. We also need CSS, and JavaScript is necessary to add the link here, because we can't just put link on this button right now. If you take a look at your web page, or maybe this page, right, because you have a link, yes, in the chat, you can notice that with another device and with various operating systems, you will see some difference. It depends on the default setups of the system. In Windows, buttons are like this, and in iOS it's more like they just have round corners, I guess. It's more beautiful, maybe. Well,
Depends.
yeah, I think I just can't say like this, but it's okay. To fix this and to make your own design, we also need CSS, and to make everything look the same on the different devices, also we need CSS. So yeah, easy peasy. And I think now we can jump into CSS part. If you have,
Probably.
yeah, if you don't have questions with this part. In YouTube, everything is okay.
Okay, so no questions. I hope everything is fine.
Oh, I forgot about this.
Yeah.
This button.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I press to make some magic? So this is it. Yes, it's just to fix your code and make it more proper, I guess.
Easy to read, to make it easier to read, to make it more structured, and so on. What we forgot to do is change this image description. Now it still says girl in a jacket, but in fact there is no girl in a jacket on this image. So with this property like alt, you can type your image description that will be displayed maybe when you hover over the image, or maybe in a search engine when you use Google, for example, and your image will pop up over there. Probably you will see this description. So what we now may type here, since we are doing this WEBITECTURE page, we can just type WEBITECTURE. It will be just fine. So one more thing, just let's repeat once more. Your project has a name that is written in this top left corner of your screen. You can click over there and change the name. If the name is taken, just make another name, and later on your website is already launched and online with the address like your project name.glitch.me. And if you go to glitch.com, since this is the platform for communication as well, you can just use this search tool over here and type the project or your website, like WEBITECTURE, for example. And look, you will see this WEBITECTURE project. And when you click on this, you will have the project like preview, and a button over here, remix this. So you can press remix, and this button will copy the project to your account, and your folders, etc. And you will have the copy of this project with another name that you will be able to reconfigure, redesign, and remix, as the button says. So we will be developing our web, I guess, with the same name, webitecture.glitch.me, and anytime you need, you can go just there and either press remix to copy this project, or I don't know, if you press edit, will you be able to edit, but anyways, you can check all the codes and examples, etc. Everything we made there. So going back to our project, what we are going to do now is to jump to CSS, cascading style sheets. They are used to design how your website should look like. What fonts are you going to use? What colors? What's the background? How the images should look like, and so on. And using the same resource, W3 schools, we can have this CSS properties, I guess. There are some lessons over there. Let me go just to the starting page. Yeah, CSS reference, that's what we need. And you have a list of CSS properties over here that you can apply to different elements. For example, if I want some background, we have some questions in chat.
Okay, I was on YouTube. Is it okay if I use Firefox?
Yes.
Do you have any problems?
It's okay if you use Firefox.
No, I just prefer using it. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Why we suggest using Google Chrome is because of its developer console, I guess. If you press Ctrl-Shift-I on any web page, you will see some extra tools displayed over here. And you have this elements thing, and you can go through the HTML code. And with this select an element tool, you can just like hover over any element and you will see what is the element and some properties of it. And the next tab we have here is console, which we are going to use a lot when we will work with JavaScript. And then we have this sources tab over here displaying well, our sources, all the files that we use in our project. So here is the image that we have separately. Here is our style CSS file. Here is our index HTML file. And you can watch this on any website. For example, if we go to apple.com and press Ctrl-Shift-I, we still have like all these elements, and you can watch their name, their properties, and even find them in the HTML code of the web page. So, okay, we already have some properties over here, like for example, for body we have this margin property, which is an offset from the corners of your screen. We have like one REM. REM is a there are different values in CSS. Okay, you can just type them. Okay, CSS units, yeah, and you can find different units over here. Some of them are absolute, like millimeters, centimeters, and so on. And some of them are relative lengths, like they are calculated depending on the size of the screen on your device. So if it's a large screen, the REM or EM property, one unit of it equals to some number, and if the screen is smaller, then this number is smaller as well. So it's like a relative, some relative numbers. So if we try to enlarge it, we will hear that our image is getting more offset from the left side, and even more offset, and so on. And there are, what's going on here exactly? Let's take a look in our console over here. Let's click on elements, and here, this small image, you can see some
Fields.
yes, several fields and several names. The first one is margin, the orange one. This is like an offset from the borders towards the outer border of your content of your element. Then you have this border field, which is like actually the border, so you can outline all your content with like just a line of different size. And then you have padding, which is an offset from the border of the content or an element towards the element and the content itself even more. So maybe it sounds complicated, but this scheme should like show you everything. So this is like the content itself, then the padding is 0, that's why we don't, let's make some padding. We have margin, let's make a border, for example, property over here, let it be like 5 pixels, solid, black, for example. Don't forget semicolons over here, and now you hear the border, and you can see the border, and then we will add the padding property, for example, let it be 2em, like this, and let's go back here, and now you can see the margin, which is the offset from the border to the side of your screen, then the border itself, this black line which is now highlighted orange, and then this padding property which is an offset from this border to your elements and your content. Alright, so margins and paddings are for making offsets. You can make an offset, for example, like you need some offset here between the button and the image for sure, and we will make it a bit later. Let's see some other properties that we have here. So we already know border, and we made it solid. What we can also do, we can also change border color, border width, and instead of solid border, you can have different other options. You can also have a property like this, border radius, and for example, let's say it's 5em, and now you have those rounded corners. Maybe it's not so cool applied to the whole body tag, but probably it would be better if you could apply it to your images and have this like rounded corners with an image, maybe not so big, something like this. And in case we need some margins, you can say margin slash top, for example, and then specify a number, I don't know, in pixels, in some relative units, anything you like. And voila, we have now this offset from bottom towards our image. And if you go here and you select the image, you can see the margin, the orange line that is applied on top of the image. Yeah, and I think you've already noticed, but I didn't mention it from the beginning. HTML has a syntaxes like this with angle brackets and tags and so on. CSS has different syntaxes with curly brackets and semicolons in the end of every line, and all those properties with double dots, and the tags are written like this. And JavaScript is having also a bit different syntaxes, but it looks like CSS a lot. So just don't be confused. Different languages, they have different syntaxes, but they all work together in as a team. Okay. So what I would like to do is, for example, add a background behind my WEBITECTURE heading. I know that in HTML my heading is described with this tag h1. So I go to CSS and I type just h1 Then I have curly brackets, and now I'm describing the properties for every h1 element on my page. So I'd like to have a background behind it. So I type background property and then a color, if I remember it correctly, and no, I'm not remembering it correctly. Okay, let's go over here. Background. You don't need those quote signs. Okay. Voila. And now I have a red background for my heading. Now it's taking the width of my screen. If I look at it on the white screen, it's taking all this length. Okay, that's fine. What I need to add is probably some padding to make to move the heading from the left a bit to the right. So I should type like padding left 1em, for example, semicolon, and now my heading is moved. If well, there are multiple ways to say what color you want to use in CSS or JavaScript. For example, you can just type in Google HTML color names, for example, and you will get on the same website, okay, and you have a lot of different colors over here, and they all have just a simple name like lime, magenta, maybe not so simple, medium spring green, but at least you can just type the name of the color. For now, probably I don't know.
Pink one, I guess.
Pink. Okay, we have like deep pink, hot pink,
like
fuchsia,
this, like light maybe, or maybe this.
lavender blush.
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes.
No way. All right, let it be deep pink. Okay, so it works. Another option for you is to have this hash color names. Okay, so this is like a bit more complicated. You can go and type color picker, for example, and you will get this tool. And you have those different names of the same color. For example, hex names are starting with this hash sign. You can like make color you want. Okay, let it be a light, something like this, and just copy it, go to your file and paste it over here, and we have this color in our project. Another option is to use RGB values. I hope you all know and familiar with RGB values. You can just type RGB 255, I don't know, 50, 75, and I have something like this. It works as well. Any other ways to have color here? Of course, there are. For example, you can type your color like this. Will it work? Oh, it's supposed to be green. Oh no, hash. Yeah, that's hash. Okay, and instead of hash, you can also type 0x. Come on. Supposed to produce the same result. Not working over here. Okay, we'll check why it's not working. All right. So, anyways, now you have 3 ways of specifying the color you want, with hash, with RGB values, and with just a simple name. You want to change the color of your text, for example. You just type color and let it be white. And you have your white text over here. Probably you need, what else do you need? Probably you will need a gradient background, for example. You can type again background, for example, like linear gradient, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check this. Background, and okay, gradient, line height. Okay. Somewhere here they're supposed to have this gradient stuff, but I will find it quicker here. Yeah, linear gradient, and then in parentheses you just type something like to right, to left, to bottom, to top, or you can type degrees rotation of this like gradient for it goes from one point to this point, and the second point is located like 20 degrees above, for example, and then you specify two colors. Let it be red and let it be blue, for example. And now we have a linear gradient with rotation. You can set like 0 degrees over here, and we have it like from bottom to top, and then you can specify like 180 degree, and it will be rotated 90 degrees, and now you have it exactly from left to right, or something in between. And different browsers, they use different setups, and if you see your result, especially with gradients and many other features, working on your screen like this, in some older browsers, maybe there is no support of gradients. For example, you're using Internet Explorer of a really old version, and they don't have a support of linear gradients. In case you don't provide any other property, the browser will just like miss the line he doesn't know, miss the command and the property he doesn't know, and will go further on. And you have to provide several properties and probably several options of the same property for different browsers to make your website work correctly on different devices and different machines and in different browsers. That's why I would like to specify just a simple background in the beginning for like a really old browsers and really old computers. Then you'd like to like use this linear gradient stuff. And in case this is not working, for example, on Safari or some other browser, in case it's not working, you should use a WebKit command, like just like this, WebKit with hyphens. I think it's called hyphen. Yeah, you just add WebKit and then simply repeat everything you have here, but again, this line should be located here. So in that case, what your browser is doing when he is reading these properties, he's like reading, okay, background, just a simple color. I make background just a simple color. If your browser is okay with gradients, he will read the second line, like background WebKit linear gradient. if your browser is supporting these WebKit commands, he will create a linear gradient. And if your browser is supporting just a simple linear gradient command, he will create a linear gradient with this command. So my old browser will create a simple color, background color, and will ignore these two lines with gradients. My a bit more advanced browser will create a linear gradient and ignore this third line over here. And my super duper fancy, super awesome new browser supporting every new feature that is available online now will create a linear gradient with a simple command like this. That's why I have to create multiple options for displaying your elements for them to work correctly. How to find all the necessary options you need to have? I don't know. You just have to create, then test on various devices, on various screens, in various browsers, old, new, and so on, and just check how it works. Okay, some more properties. What I would like to have now is something that is called box shadow or just a simple shadow. Let's try and find something like this over here. Okay, box shadow, fine. Okay, so we have like different options how to specify it. Let's try with an image. I'd like to have a shadow from my image, and I can type box/shadow, and then I can type 20 pix, 30 pix, and now I have like a really large shadow over here. If I continue typing probably a few more numbers like 10 pix and 10 pix, you will see that the shadow is getting blurry. Probably I don't need this number. Okay. Okay, so these first two numbers when you're dealing with shadows are for offset in X and Y direction on your screen. Maybe we can type also some relative lengths and relative sizes over here. 3 is too big, maybe 1, and then maybe not 2, but also 1. Okay, and then the third number is like how blurry your shadow is. And you can also specify a color. All right, let's just type in red, and our shadow is red. Let's just type in blue, and our shadow is blue. I'm not sure if you can have like gradient shadow. This probably it's achievable somehow. I'm not sure if it's necessary for us to cover right now. And if you need a border around your image, you can also add like a border property. I don't know, several pixels. It should be solid. And it should be like gray, for example. And now we have a border around our image. Okay, looks like this.
Weird.
A bit weird here. Weird styling. All right. If you want to remove some properties, you can make a thing which is called commenting. You can comment out a property. What you have to do is just hit Ctrl/, and this line will be commented. It remains in your file and you can uncomment it later, but it will be ignored by the browser and will not influence your styles over here. All right, let's make some styling for the button. I should type in button, I should type in something like this, and I should say okay, background pink, maybe. It's gonna be completely weird. Border.
Let's make it yellow.
Okay, let's type none. Okay, the border is gone. Border slash radius. I'll have the radius like 0.25 em, and now it's slightly circle, and probably shadow from the bottom as well. A box shadow, maybe not so. Okay, and 0.1 here and 0.1 here. Okay, and maybe 5 pixels here. All right, looks, don't know, bad. All right. I hope you're better with styling than me. And you want to change the color of the text on your button, you just type in white, for example, and we have the white text over here. So, do we have any questions right now?
Yeah, I got one question.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sweet. So this button section, I actually have it in front. Let me show you print screen, it's maybe better.
I can stop the screen sharing and you can show
Or you can
your
just
screen.
Yes, I'll send the screen in chat
Okay.
in a few minutes. So, and I can change it. That's the problem for some reason.
like in general. No. Technical menu.
Oh, 1 second.
Is it in Zoom chat? Because in Zoom I see nothing.
Just a minute, I'll send it.
Okay.
It's loading. Here it is. Can you see it?
Yes, I guess.
Sweet. So if you can see, the button option is up, and it's kind of look different from yours.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know. I can change color, I can change border, but button.
All right, you have this button option and then you have input option as well. What you have pressed is just like a website. You started with a more advanced setup for a website, I guess. That's why you have a lot of different other options over here. And we were starting with minimal website, but it's okay. It's fine. You should add a comma after the button word.
Gotcha.
And I guess it should work after that.
And yeah, it worked.
Okay, so in CSS, when you're trying to style many elements and apply same styles to many different elements, you just should type element, comma, element, comma, element, and then in curly brackets, you specify the options for and styles for those elements. All right. Any other questions? Seems like no. All right. We have a 5-minute break for now, and then we will continue a bit with CSS, a bit more, and then we will begin writing our user interface for our app. All right. So 5 minutes break, guys. Dun, dun. Dun, dun. Will be available. Да я попил.
Синий делать? Пойдем синий.
Colon, 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 colon.
Смотри, какая там типа просмотра.
Я не могу, у меня прямая трансляция.
Да.
All right, so we are ready. Are you ready?
Просто вот тут экран получается. Вот, видишь, тебя не видно. Может быть, это сдвинуть сюда? Ну, просто тут заслоняется часть вот этого. Может, ты просто сдвинешь сюда?
Seems like everybody is away or sleep. Окей.
На ютубе закрывает.
Да это чат там закрывает.
Ну, может двинуть чуть-чуть, чтобы тебя было видно.
Right. Okay, guys, so let's continue. You ready?
Oops, some chats. Yes.
Okay, nice.
How can we change the font types?
Okay. The fonts. The fonts. You can upload your fonts over here in your project and use them. Another option is called like Google Fonts, for example, Google Fonts, and it's fonts.google.com, and you have different kinds of fonts over here that you would like to use. You can select any. You can download them from here, but what I usually do is I import them, and let me check the exact command. Just a few seconds, and I'll be back. All right. All right, so the command is like this. You have to import your font. It says like this at import URL, then brackets, parentheses, and then your URL. If you're using Google Fonts, you just go with https / fonts.google.com / CSS question mark family equals the name of your font, for example, Roboto, and display equals swap, quote sign, parentheses, semicolon. And then in your body you have this property, font family. It says sans serif now. If you change it to Roboto, yeah, the font has changed to Roboto. There are a lot of different fonts. Well, this one is called Castoro. You know the name of this font and you change like Roboto, then Castoro, and sometimes you can just like type the names of the fonts that are already installed in your operation system, and you don't have to import them. But your website is working on different devices, and different systems have different fonts available on them. That's why it's better always to import a font or have it like somewhere in the assets so that it would be available on your website, and before the browser starts loading your website, he will upload and import the font and then display everything with the font that you have chosen. I don't like this one. Probably, I don't know.
This one.
Okay, and maybe a bit longer name, like, alright. If you have a font like this, like Noto space sans space GP, you can say something like this, for example, and import another font and Noto plus sans plus JP, and use it here, Noto sans JP, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's not working. Something wrong with.
Are you sure about the name?
Because I'm not sure. Just always have to try and see what happens. No, alright.
Should be this.
Font family, Auto Sans GP. Maybe I'm using something wrong from here. No, not Auto Sans GP. Alright. Not Auto Sans GP. Okay. If I use double quotes but single quotes,
You should like this.
the same. Alright. Something wrong. Okay. Let's change this to Roboto. It works. And some Roboto over here. You always run into different kind of troubles working with things like that, and it's fine, it's okay. You just have to like Google why it's not working, then you find some solution and it starts working. Okay, so now we know how to change fonts. All right, the next thing that we need to know is that, any other questions, by the way?
No.
No, okay. Next thing we need to know, for example, is that in CSS we have different ways to style, to apply styles to our elements. We can like go just like this, like for every button on our page, use those styles. But let's imagine that we have a situation where somehow we need different buttons styled differently. For example, this button will be one. Okay, button one, and this will be button 2, and this will be button 3. And you want to apply different styles to them. For this, we have, for example, classes. You can set up a class like this button belongs to class, I don't know, my buttons. My buttons. Oh, insert. Okay. What's happened? Class. Okay. My button. All right. And this, the first button, will be just a button without any class. And the third button, button number 3, will be with the same class as button number 2, but it will also have an ID. An ID button 3. And with your CSS, you can set styles for all buttons, but then you can like choose single class like my button, and you specify it starting with point, and then the name of the class. And then you can change some properties, for example, background, not pink, but let's try blue this time. And you can see that the buttons that belong to my button class are now with blue background, and just button with pink background as stated here. And these are the properties for my button class. And we also have button number 3 with an ID, a unique ID for an element on our page. That way we can select a single element on our page with ID and then apply styles only to this element. And to select this element in CSS, you have to start your command with this hash sign. If I'm not mistaken, the ID is button 3, and then curly brackets as well, and this background is gonna be green. All right, yeah, so now you have same elements, buttons, but some are just buttons, some belong to a special class, and some have unique IDs. So you can like maybe add more buttons, like let it be button 2.1. Then what's going on? Okay, like this, and it will. What's this thing?
Line.
Why is that? No line. All right.
I think you can just check it in the lab.
Button.5. Oh, okay, no line. 5. So you have like several buttons belonging to a special class defining their styles, and some unique elements with unique IDs as well with unique styles. It's necessary in web design when you're making, I don't know, landing pages, some blogs, and so on. It's just basics. And what I would like to show you now is the layout. There are multiple ways how to lay out your elements on your website, and there are controls with the display property, and there are many options for this, like block, which is for a default display property, grid, which helps you to probably we can press play it and see what happens. All right, grid will help you to display your elements in grid, which is obvious like this, and you can specify how much each part of your website, you specify columns and rows, and then you can specify how much cells in a column or in a row this element takes, and create stuff like this and layouts like this and maybe something like this. And what we are going to use, I guess, is called flex display. This is the way to position your elements with aligned along something, along a central axis, along a horizontal axis, and something like this. So now we have this website of ours. Let's add property display colon flex and see what happens. And now we have everything combined in just one line. All right, then we can specify flex direction colon and say column. And now we have everything going one after another. We have align properties, align content, and align items. All right, let's try align items colon center, and now everything is aligned in center. Yeah, we have like perfectly aligned the elements. Now we have some problems with our buttons. Probably we need some margins. Let's say margin colon 1 em semicolon, ta-da, 1 em is too big. Let's set 0.25, 0.25, fine, looks fine. Image, we have margin top here. Probably we need some margin bottom property over here as well, just to make more space here between the image and the text itself, and see how it works on our large screen. All right, okay, and something happening with this heading stuff. Padding left, let's make just padding 1 em here and there. Okay, and now we have this heading, like, all right. And we can also specify, for example, width for our heading, width like 100%, for example, and it will take 100% of the body element over here as much as he can. Questions?
No.
All right. So if you take a look on some other website, you will notice this special tag over here, which is called div. Div. And div is used mostly to group your elements. For example, you can make a group for the for some links, for example, or you can make a group of images. For example, you have all your web page displayed as flags in a single column aligned center along the center, and then you want a group of images in a grid layout located along the central line of your main page. Then you will need to use this div element to group those images, to make another class for them, to specify a grid display property and work with them separately. What we will try to do is to create a separate div for our menu with buttons for our app menu. I don't need this border for my body anymore. I will remove it. I don't need this margin too much. Maybe 1 is just fine. All right. And all right. We don't need those buttons over here. All right, so now we are ready to begin creating our user interface for our app. Do you want me to continue in this project, or should I make a separate project? What do you think, guys?
Silence.
Silence, yes. Everybody is shocked. This
This
one,
one.
okay. Then I will restructure it a bit. I don't need images over here. All right. I don't need links probably, but after link and before my second body tag, I will create a div and I will put my buttons there. I don't need this. Okay, let it be. Okay. All right. The div name will belong to a class named menu, for example, and it's going on like this. All right. In CSS, we will try to style our menu class dot menu curly brackets margin top colon 2em. All right, now we have some more space, and probably a good way now is to put this div inside another div. Okay, like this, and this larger div is going to belong to a class named app, and this class will be app menu, for example. Then in CSS we need to update the names. All right. The class named app is going to be like this, and we are going to add some background just to see what happens. Background probably light gray. All right, all right, all right. Margin, let's talk. 1 em. Okay, and now we don't need this margin over here anymore. Okay, maybe 2em is fine. All right, this app thing is going to take width. You can say you can define the width and the height of your elements in different ways. You can say width 100%, and this will mean 100% from the parent element. See, all our divs and our blocks are located within this body tag, and so body is a parent element for them. That's why when we say 100%, it means 100% from the body element. And body is has margin and offset from the sides. Probably it's okay now. I can leave it like that. Another way is say like this 100 VH, which means 100 of the screen, 100% from the screen size, if I'm not mistaken. This is width height should be like this. No, VW. Yeah, so VW is 100% from the width of your screen, and VH is 100% from the height of your screen. So height 100 VH. All right, and now we have our app area taking full screen space. So app menu, probably let's specify a border for now to see it perfectly. 1 em, no. Okay, 2 peaks, solid black, semicolon. All right. Then what I want is my buttons probably to be moved a little bit from the left, or I can say display flex and align flash items center, and this means aligning horizontally, or another option is align content, column center as well, and come on, tag, wait, sorry, we're missing something. What are we missing? Just a second. Just a second. Just a second. All right. buttons. Alright. Alright, probably I don't need any display flags over here. Another option we can try here is not align content, but it's called justify slash content. Yeah, this justify content property will help us make our buttons aligned perfectly along the center. Okay, buttons margin. Maybe we need more margin than them, and maybe we will need some padding to them, like I don't know, 0.5 em as well, to make them look bigger. Yes, no, they are big enough. And all right, let's remove those different styles for buttons. We don't need them, let them be the same. What else you need to do now is create a canvas. Okay, canvas is going to have an ID, my canvas. We are going to use it later in JavaScript, and we are going to show everything we have in 3D in this canvas. And for canvas, we need to specify some options and styles as well. Just type canvas width colon 100 VW, height 100%, and
Border.
And yeah, probably you will need to remove the border of the canvas so that it does not distract you anymore. Okay, what if we add a background to our canvas? What will happen? A red background. Okay. Now you see this red thing. This is where your 3D is going to appear in a bit. This is our simple UI with several buttons. Maybe we need 5 buttons probably, so let's add another one. Just Control-C, Control-V, let it be button 5. Okay, let's rename the buttons. We will have one button which will, at least one button which will add something, add a module, for example. Another button will be named remove, and it will remove something. The next button is going to rotate, and we are going to rotate along 3 axes: rotate X, rotate Y, and rotate Z. And maybe we need to remove some unnecessary styling here. Let buttons just be buttons without any classes. This was just like to show you possible options. All right. Okay. okay, some magic, and now our text is aligned. What I don't like in formatting is when this like angle bracket is left alone. To my mind, this is supposed to look like this, maybe better. It's maybe more readable, and this guy should go over here. This looks like more accurate, or if they are formatting a paragraph like this, then A should be, link text should be also formatted like this, but alright, now it worked. Alright, so now, what do we have now? We have like a short introduction to what are we going to do with our app, and I hope that you can have here like something else, like an image with the project that, or maybe with this site where this app is supposed to design something, then some description saying that this app is designed for making a skyscraper on this site, for example. The link towards your something, I don't know, the site of the website of the project, or maybe your contacts in social media or something like that, and then the app itself with some buttons and the 3D part over here. So to make our buttons make something, we need JavaScript. What I promised you yesterday is to create this colorful animation where we saw on the Blender website. Look at this text over here. In a few seconds it will start to change its color. Now you see the B is pink and it was blue before. Now this E is blue and it was green, and now B starts getting yellow. Let's try create something like this with our gradient over here, and for that you have a keyframe animation in CSS, and you can say something like this. You can animate different properties with CSS. Actually, this is a bit advanced, but it's fine. Okay, so we are going to animate our H1 element.
No.
Okay, so let's specify our keyframes. You start with this @ sign that you use in emails. Then you should type keyframes. Then you should type the name of the animation. Just make something, be creative. Mine is going to be named background animation, BG animation. And then you specify some keyframes. For example, at 0%, I don't know, it's some abstract 0%. What we are going to animate is HUE of parameters of the colors, and they are accessed via filter, special filter, which is called HUE, and rotate. And you're going to specify the degrees of rotation over here. Let it be 0, and then 100% point. You're gonna type the same filter, HUE, rotate, and 360 degrees, for example, right here. And then you have this basic animation set up. Okay. Next, for older browsers, you also have to get something like this WebKit. and then all those say everything the same. Again, WebKit. And then everything the same. All right. Now we have our animation ready. Let's use it. We're going to animate the background of our heading, as I said before. And what we need to specify first is animation name, colon, our name of the animation, VG animation. Then you specify animation duration, and you can specify in seconds, let it be 4 seconds, just type 4s. And you specify another property, animation iteration count, and you see it's already happening, and you can make it happen once when the web page is loaded, or if you want it to go continuously, you can type in infinite over here, and this magic will happen over and over again. Probably 4 seconds is not that fast, and probably 1 second is fine, or maybe 10 seconds. Just play around with this and make some setups as you wish. Maybe you don't want to animate anything at all, and it's fine. Just an example for you how the keyframe animation is working in CSS. All right. Next thing, probably you're gonna have like to have some images on your buttons instead of text, and you can use some PNGs, for example, with icons, or you can use some ready-made icons, PNGs, with transparent background, or SVG format, the vector format, to create your icons. There are many different websites you can use to create your to get your icons. For example, flat icon. It's in Russian for me. Okay, it won't be in Russian for you, but you can find some interesting results here. Then you have icon finder, for example. With vector icons, and you can just, well, I don't know, we need an rotation, например, rotate. Okay. And you have some ready icons for rotation.
The noun project is also very good.
Noun project, okay. Noun.
Yeah, you can use noun for not commercial projects, by the way.
You can also find a lot of different icons over here,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, llama. Okay, you can have icons of llama, or maybe a lemur, if you need one. And you have
It's like a monkey.
a lot of different lemurs over here. So, anyways, you can create your own icons. I don't have any ready icons for you, but what I'd like to do is maybe instead of text, simple text, add a module over here. I'd like to have an image of my module on a button, and to create this, first of all, I need to create a simple render of the module. Let me go to my Blender file, for example. I don't have it ready. Sorry. We will render one right now. By the way, if you remember yesterday, I tried to make a texture with light and it all was black. And the light was over here and over here, and the texture was really, really, really bad. It was like this, not really accurate and nothing great. And now the texture looks like this, so you really see the light is where it is supposed to be. And the final module looks like this. It has like real lights over here. Probably should make it brighter, but it's fine now. So the reason for this mistake was the wrong normals direction. If you go and hit tab, then like you hit A to select everything, you can go over this window over here, and you have this option face orientation over here, and see, it's blue now. And you have also a property here with the mesh. You can have you get normals properties, and you can press recalculate outside, which is this way, and it produced the correct result. And before, all the normals were in mesh normals inside, yeah, and they were all red, and that's why it baked the texture in the wrong way. So make sure you select everything, then hit mesh normals, recalculate outside, and have them blue. This is the right way for your modules to be ready. Then you can uncheck this face orientation feature. Do we have a camera here? Yes, we have a camera. To see through your camera, you can just hit 0 on your numpad. And my camera is located in the wrong direction. I need my camera to move. Okay, select my camera. Hit tab. Okay, select my camera. Move it over here. Move it over here. R, Z, rotate it like this. Look for this. Alright, we're almost there. I want my camera to be an orthographic camera, for example, like this. Move it a little bit more, and maybe like this, and like this. Okay. Alright, yeah, something like this. Then I hit this transparent thing over here. I hit render preview to see what will be seen. Maybe let's make the background a bit lighter and have an image like this. Then I'd like to have a square image. I don't need a big image for a button icon. Maybe 256 and 256 will be fine. I need to get closer to my object, something like this, and maybe move it a little bit. Yeah, looks perfect. Then I hit F12 or render image, and This is my image. I hit image, save as. Alright, let it be in textured. Okay, let it be like module 1 PNG. Save. Then I go to my project. I go to assets. A bit over here. I upload my image. Textures. Here it is. My module. Okay. What I need to do now is I need to copy, go to HTML, and instead of the text here, just add another tag image src equals quotes, and then your link in quotes, and we're gonna have something like this. All right.
Not so cool, this.
Not so cool. We need to add another class to this image, like menu img, something like this. Go to CSS and style it menu img. All right. So we need it to be width. For example, no, let's make it height first, height like 1 em. Almost. Height 1 em, maybe 0.1. It's even smaller. Okay. Height 2 em. We don't need that great margin. Margin equals 0 em. All right. We don't need any box shadow. Box shadow flash, maybe none will work. Yeah. What else? We don't need any. We don't need any border radius. Okay, border dash radius 0. No, well, something like this. 2 em and padding also, padding 0.1 em semicolon. Well, something like this. All right, buttons, margin. Probably if we specify height in our buttons the same as 2 em. All right, not so big. And here you're going to do 1 em. All right. All right. Something like this. 3 em over here, and maybe I can then have 2 em over here. Yeah, something like this. So now I have a preview of the module that I'm going to have. I have some buttons, and this looks like this. Maybe not so bad. and you will be better at styling everything else than me. Another button and another button. So I will have like 3 modules. I will have different images, for example, here, and every time I click that button, the module will appear here. And then when I hit remove, I will click on the modules that I want to remove, and then they will be removed. And when I hit rotate, I will click on the modules that I want to rotate, and they will be rotated. Alright, one more thing I wanted to show you with CSS. There are different trends in web design right now, and one of them is called neomorphism. Probably it's not so great. It's not so new right now, but there is this website which is called neomorphism.io, and it lets you generate this like soft shadows, soft look of your UI. You can select different button shapes, for example, and this will automatically generate some CSS properties for your buttons. Probably we could start with something like this. Let me just copy and try this in my CSS, my buttons. All right. Background border radius is pretty big. All right. Box shadow 60 pixels is too much, and maybe 2, and -2. Yeah, something like this, and you see that my styles, my button styles are changed a bit, and they look more like extruded from this horizontal line. Let's remove the border over here. Yeah, let's make the background probably white. Will work. Yeah, and our buttons background color. We don't need this. We don't need. Oh no, I need this. That'd be great. Border radius. Okay. Box shadow. Don't need them anymore. Click format. All right. I don't know. Seems working to me. And if you want to pick another color, it's up to you. You can make something reddish or maybe bluish, whatever fits your expectations. Okay, whatever you wish. Fun thing to play with. Just set up everything as you like. Just copy those CSS, and then probably if your button is smaller, you need to adjust these things, and the distance and the intensity of shadows, maybe the blurriness, not so. Okay, so something like this. Grab and paste it in your project. All right. I think that's it for CSS, and we still have like 15 minutes left, which is great. If you have any questions right now, feel free to ask them. Do we have any questions in our YouTube chat? All right.
Looks like everything is super clear.
Fantastic. I remind you that if you want to just grab a copy of this project with all those properties and stylings and everything ready and set up for you, you can go to glitch.com and go to this, use this search tool and find this WEBITECTURE project and then click Remix, and you will have a copy of it available for you with everything you need. Thank you, Maria. That's great to know that this is fun and not boring, and you don't regret joining this crazy workshop. Okay. Okay, let's jump into JavaScript for now, and I will explain some basics of programming and some concepts that lie behind JavaScript and web development. All right, first of all, what you need to do is go to your JavaScript file over here, and your HTML document, your HTML file, is the main file of your web project. All the other files like CSS and JavaScript, they are loaded in HTML files with these tags and comments over here. So this line 11 says link, and it has a link to a CSS file. And this tag named script has source script.js file. And these commands attach the styling and the JavaScript file to your web project and to your HTML file. So you can have multiple JavaScript files in your project, and then and they can all communicate with each other. They can all be uploaded in this head area of your HTML file. But there are also some other options like importing different files straight into your main JavaScript file, for example. Right now, what you have here is the simple command console.log and hello world inside it. What this command is doing over here, if you go to your website in a separate image and press Ctrl-Shift-I, you will get into this developer console over here, and you have a console tab over here. And you see this hello world inscription over here. If you change this to something and then go in your console, you will see that this is changed as well. Now we have some troubles loading our fonts somehow. Don't know why this happens. Doesn't matter, I will check this later. We have some something happening. Okay, you may have some mistakes here right now. That doesn't matter. Just don't pay attention. It's okay. At least we have our single line of JavaScript working fine. So JavaScript is used to make our web pages more interactive, and for example, you can like make your backgrounds change as well with JavaScript. You can make your buttons produce some actions on your web page, and so on. You can address the elements in your HTML document with JavaScript pretty easy. You can type, for example, something like document dot, and here you can use different options like get element by ID, for example, or query selection. I prefer using get element by ID. And for example, let me change the heading with JavaScript. I will have an ID here called, I don't know, my heading. I'll go to my JavaScript file. I will type my heading ID here, and then dot inner HTML equals, and then I will type something like hi, and my heading is changed. And this can be well done. I don't know, this is just an example. I'm not sure if it's really a practical one, but probably, yeah, we're gonna need this because we will be creating a console for our app saying that your modules are being loaded, or maybe something else, to the visitors of your website. If you check this demo adaptive app that we had before, you have this button at part over here, and you have this console saying hello to you. So when you click add part, you see this console saying that the part is 100% loaded, and while it's loading, it says that the part is like 50% loaded, 60% loaded, 70%, and so on. And then finally, the part is loaded. So we're definitely gonna use this. Okay, let's not change the inner HTML. We can also change different style properties from our JavaScript file, like get element by ID, let it be the same, my heading, and you can say dot style dot color, I hope so, equals blue. Will it work? Yeah, it works. And it is also being influenced by this HUE filter animation. So now it's blue, and then it's pink, and then everything is happening. All right. So this is the way you change styling of your elements. So you can access various style properties just with document.getElement by ID. You select the elements, you type dot style dot, and then some property. For example, color. Don't know. You can change the background as well, padding, whatever you wish. Okay. What we need to talk about now is probably variables. variable is a data container. A data container used, you may think about it like a box that contains something. So you get a variable, and there are many ways to, actually not so many, like 3 ways to, maybe more, to set up your variable in JavaScript. You can say let and then the name of the box, of the variable. For example, x equals 7, and then you can say like console dot log yeah, the name of your variable x, and if you go to the console on your website, you're gonna see this number 7 over here. Mostly in web development, this command console.log is used to check that everything is working correctly. You will type different functions, make different things, and to check if they're working, at least working somehow, you will use this console log and then something like you will, if you want just a text, you have to use quote and you will type something. This function is working, and then you will go to your console and check that this is working. Yeah. All right, but we don't have any function yet. So we have a variable which is like a box, and you can put a number into it. You can put a word into it. So you can say like x equals, and let it be just a text, some hello. And then you go to console and you see that it has hello over here. It's just produces not x, but what is inside of that variable, inside that box, named x. Alright, so there are other ways like stating your variables. Another one is const, and you can say const y equals something, I don't know, 5, for example. The difference between let and const is that const is a variable that will not change its data anyways. It will be 5, for example, all the time. This is like different way to structure the memory of your computer, different ways to position those values that you have here inside of your computer's memory. And let is used for dynamic variables that will change, like for example the position of your object in your 3D scene. You will move it around, so this position will change, and the variable containing its position along x-axis, for example, will change, along y-axis will change, z-axis as well will change. But then there are some variables that will not change. For those, please use const. And there is also an older way to declare your variable, which is used, it says var, for example, and you may say var equals 3, and then you can make different things with your variables. For example, you can make math functions with them. You can like add them to each other. You can type console.log y plus z, for example, and see what happens. You can see 8 here. So this means that y plus z means 5 plus 3, and you have 8 together. You can multiply them. So 5 multiplied by 3 is 15, and we have 15 here. Amazing. You can divide 5 by 3, and you're gonna have this number with pretty many numbers after this point over here. So JavaScript may contain pretty large numbers. There is also already built-in math library in your browser, in your JavaScript. So, and you can use various math functions. You can say something like console.log math.py with capital letters, and you will see a pi number appears in your console over here with many numbers after the 3 point, after the dot. You can also say something like console.log math.sinus, which is sin, to say it shortly, from for example, my y variable, compute the sinus value from my y variable and see what happens. It has like minus 0.9589 and so on and so on. So you can do a lot of different things over there. Another basic concept of programming that you probably should need to know is if and else statements. So you can say something like if, for example, my y variable is less than 5, then something will happen. We will type like console.log and then that's some text here. Y is less than 5, for example. Just an example right now. Then you can say something like else if and specify another condition. This is called conditional statements. Else if y is y equals 5, and when you're writing conditional statements, you do not use like single equal sign here, because single equal sign in JavaScript means that this variable is now equals 5, and if you want to check if this variable equals 5 or not, you're gonna use double equal sign or sometimes even triple equal sign. So I suggest using double equal sign for now in our situation. So if y equals 5, we're gonna say something like y is exactly 5, for example. And in any other situation, you can say else, then curly brackets, and console.log y is more than 5. I'm not sure if I should. I always make mistakes with this than thing. I'm not sure if it's E or A here. It's supposed to be. Alina, what's your idea?
I didn't catch actually. I checked that.
All right. All right. So now we have conditional statement that will produce different results depending on the value of our y variable. So now it equals 5, and in our console we are gonna see the text saying that y is exactly 5. Yeah, just like we stated here. If we change our y variable towards 6, for example, you will see that y is more than 5 now. If we change it to 2, you will see that y is less than 5. And when you're programming and making a program, some software, a piece of software, your may require different actions taken by your software depending on different input parameters, on different conditions and different situations. That's where conditional statements are really handy. You can state as many conditional statements as necessary. You can use else if infinite amount of times. You will start with just if and single if. You will finish this conditional statement with single else, and then you can have an infinite amount of else if statements if it's necessary and if you need this. You can also just state it just like this: if y is less than 5, then this thing happens, or if you just like separate statements: if y is more than 5, then something like this happens, and so on. So many options for you. All right. Another thing you really need to know and you're going to be using with Three.js library is called arrays. For example, if variable is just a single box with some data inside it, an image, a 3D model, a word, a number, something, anything, then array is like a cupboard, a shelves system, I don't know, with many boxes inside it. And arrays are declared like this. You should come up with a name of your array. Let it be array. Not so creative, but maybe you will come up with more creative names. It depends on the situation. You should name your variables, arrays, functions, depending on what they are doing and what they are needed for. So this array is just an example, and arrays are declared with square brackets. By the way, in CSS, we always use those semicolons in the end of the lines. In JavaScript, if you check this JavaScript file somewhere online, you may see semicolons as well in the end of every line. But they are not necessary. Your browser understands everything with semicolon or without semicolon. Sometimes they are really necessary in various situations, but I guess you will definitely understand that they are necessary when you face this situation. But most of the time they are not so necessary. All right, so this is my array, and I can put here, for example, my variable x. I can put here another word like world, for example. I can put here a number, and I can put here anything. And within this array, every item, every element of this array is numerated. And the numeration starts with 0 number. You can like say, for example, console.log, just to see what's going on. Type the name of your array, then a square brackets, and then the number of the element you want to get. For example, the first element, you want to get the first element, and you type number 1. But in your console, you get the world. World is actually the second, but as every element in every array starts with 0, and then goes the element number 1, the element number 2. So the first element in your array is element number 0. So if you want to really get the first one, you should state it like this: array and then 0 in your square brackets. Then you get the value of the variable x stored in this array. And we said that x is equals hello. That's why we see this hello in our console. So you can also, arrays have different methods, like you can calculate the length of this array, array.length. And you will see that it has 3 elements inside. So 1, 2, 3, really 3. In Three.js, I guess tomorrow, what we are going to do, we're gonna put all our 3D models inside of one array for them to be allowed for dragging and dropping across your screen. We're gonna work with arrays tomorrow. So, you know variables, you know conditional statements, you know arrays now, a bit of them, and what you need now to know is functions. There are different ways to declare a function you want to create in JavaScript. The first way to declare a function, it's an old school way, is say something like this: function, and then the name of your function. For example, let's change the background of our image. Function change background, then you have to put parentheses, and then you have to put curly brackets. And inside those curly brackets, you're gonna state what exactly this function is going to do. And for example, document dot, I hope I will be correctly using this query selector, and I'm gonna need body over here dot style dot background, and then I say equals red. And so hopefully now I wrote a function that will change the background color of our web page, and let's attach this function to any button we have now. This is just a test thing, so let it be the very first button. I will type button on click equals, and the name of my function, change background, probably on click, not like this, one click, yeah, like this, change background. And I press my button, and voila, I press the button and the background of our web page changed. Let's make something more interactive. Function is like, instead of just a single line of code as just single command, function can be like a list of commands connected together to produce one result. For example, now I'd like to do a random background color every time I click my button. So I will need a variable, let it be r, equals random. I will use mass.random parentheses, and by default this command mass.random gives you a number from 0 to 1, and if we use our RGB, if you want to use RGB values, and I want to use RGB values, I need values from 0 to 225, but those will be floating numbers, and I want exactly 1, 2, or 10 with not floating number. So I will use another command, math round. All right, this is our first variable, then this is our second, this is our third variable, R, G, B, and then I will need a fourth variable, color, which will connect all those numbers. This method is called concatenation in programming. We just combine numbers we get with the necessary pieces of code. So to specify color in RGB values, I should use like RGB, then parentheses, then 3 numbers divided by commas in the parentheses, right? So, and here I want this number to be R, this number to be G, and this number to be B. So what I would need to do is combine all those with parentheses, with commas, R, G plus comma plus B plus this thing. So, and then I can use just word color over here, and every time I press this button, a random color on my web page will appear. This is the way the buttons and functions work. And by the way, now we just typed here on click, change background, blah, blah, blah. In some resources, it is mentioned that this is not the best way to attach a function to a button, that actually what you should be doing is using this type of thing, document get element by ID, have a separate ID for all your buttons, and then say something like dot on click, and then specify the function within your JavaScript code. Let me try to use it over here. Just a second, I'll be back. Alright, just some interactive experience over here, so that you're not bored. All right. All right. So style color. And not this. Not this. Okay. Okay. So this is the right way to attach functions to the buttons. We should specify not on click here, but type ID equals something button. Okay, let it be some sense in the name of this button, and it's gonna be called change background color button. Yeah, this is a pretty long name, but when you read it, you know what this button is gonna do. Okay, and then you're gonna say document dot get element by ID, and then change background color button dot, and you gonna use event listeners. There are built-in various event listeners in your browser that are constantly looking at what you're doing, whether you click, whether you scroll, whether you double click, whether you click with left mouse button, whether you click with right mouse button, and you can use all this info in your JavaScript file. Document get element by ID, add event listener, and I got lost. Here. You're gonna specify in parentheses what kind of event are you listening to, like click. We just click on our button, so we use click event, and then you're gonna specify the name of the function that is going to happen when you're clicking the button. I hope it works now. Yeah, the same result, but this type of attaching functions to your buttons is supposed to be more, supposed to be better according to some resources that I have read. So now we have one button that changes the colors of our web page. We have this animated background over here with CSS animation. We have shadows on our web page. We have this canvas that is blank right now, but we will work with it tomorrow. We don't have enough time today to jump into Three.js. But what I want and what you need to do by tomorrow, you need to have 3D models of your modules ready. Ready somewhere on your computer. You will be uploading them tomorrow on your website. You will be using them in your JavaScript code tomorrow, and you will be displaying them on your screen in your browser with Three.js library tomorrow. So make sure you know for sure what kind of app are you doing. A skyscraper, and I don't know, a high-rise, a residential area, or a pavilion, a bench, something like this. And prepare your modules. Maybe just one module is fine. Maybe you want 2 or 3 modules ready, and make sure they are ready. Test them with this GLTF viewer thing. Probably I will work a bit more on my modules. And make sure you have your web page ready. Just try to understand whether you need this introduction info for your app. This like heading, image, some text over here, and only that app. Or probably all you need is just the app with those buttons and this canvas over here. Probably this will be enough, and you will create something like this. Not this. Where was it? Over here. Yeah, something like this. So this is just a single page app with some buttons on top. Then you will need to delete some unnecessary part from your HTML before this div with class app. It's up to you. It's your design, it's your app. Just try to figure out what you really want to do. And we also covered some basics of JavaScript today, like variables, different type of commands, mass, conditional statements, arrays, functions. This is pretty a lot, and I think that the day was really intense. Those 3 hours were really intense for you. And I hope you like it, at least a little bit. Okay, so tomorrow we will dive straight into Three.js library. We will first of all make some basic scene on our canvas with the cube rotating and maybe some more geometry, and then we will start uploading and finishing our app. If you'd like to share some progress, just don't hesitate, contact us, send your screenshots, images. If you experience some problems, some troubles, also contact us and ask the questions. We will answer them as soon as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, I guess, that you guys have no questions.
I'm scared.
I'm scared too, actually. It was amazing. Thank you. This is it. So yeah, by the way, the recordings will be available on the YouTube channel. So I hope everything will be clear for you. And if you miss something, it will be really easy to find this moment and to clarify everything. So pretty intense.
All right. We're gonna stop this live translation right now.
And yes, if you have some questions, we can discuss it right now, I guess.
Okay, goodbye everyone watching us live.
Yeah, bye.
See you tomorrow.
Tomorrow.